In our next lesson, we're going to go ahead and continue with the bone system that we started. I went in and put a bone system in each finger, and I've used the fin technique to actually fill in the hand. If you look at several different views of this project, you will see that the bones are pretty much somewhat lined up on the inside. Not too many protruding. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bone system that comes up the middle of the hand, and then we want to branch it off to the four fingers. And once we do that, we're going to use the link tool to link the systems together. And we can do that by coming into the top view. And I'm going to go ahead and start down in the palm. Go into bones and start down in the palm. And I'm going to come up, stop about there, come up one more. And then I'm going to take this bone system, I'm going to pull it over to the left finger, and I'm going to right click and stop. Now I also want to add a couple more bones to go into these other areas, so I'm going to click here, drag over, and I'm getting as close as I can. I'm going to right click again, come back again, click. Now notice what happens at this point. My bone tries to leave, to start where I left off. So I'm going to right click again, try it one more time, and I'm going to keep doing it pretty much until I get it. Right click, come back to there, click, right click, 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 and there we go. So it does take a couple of shots here to actually get the bones to come off and not try to continue where you left off. Now we're missing one more bone, and that would pretty much be, we could go right from this joint to here. Now notice it's not letting me do that, so I'm going to right click again, joint to there. Now if I zoom in real close, you'll notice this bone isn't touching, and that'll be fine. Once we link, it'll be just fine. But now we have a simple conglomerate of bones that we're going to use. Just like before, I'm going to go ahead into the actual bone, go into modify, and I'm going to go ahead and adjust my fin size. And it's going to be a lot bigger on this part of the hand, as well as I want to make sure that my bones are actually up in the hand. Make sure you do that before you get too crazy. I'm going to go in and take all of the bones and line them up so that they are touching each other on that axis. Okay. Now I can go in and adjust the fins on this bone so that they actually work out. And notice here they're pretty close. I'm going to go ahead and throw my front fin in and drop in a number of, like, say 60, and it does overlap a little bit. That's fine, or goes out of the skin. That'll work out. But bones are allowed to overlap. They'll be okay when we're done. But any other bones that you may see that require some additional attention, go ahead and take care of that so that you know that they'll fit inside the hand. Now you can also select a bone and change the color of the bone. And I recommend doing that so that you can track what has been linked and what has not been linked. So I'm going to take a few minutes to go in. I'm going to pause the video while I do this. And I'm going to go in and extend all of the fins on all these bones. And then when I'm done, we'll resume the video. Now that I'm going to go ahead and resume the video, you've taken the time to go out and actually add the fins onto these bones. I'm going to go into the wireframe mode here for a second and show you how the bones are set up, how I did it. You may find that you have some unnecessary bones. For instance, I deleted these, but on the end of this bone there's this extra joint in there. Go ahead and delete that. Those are fine on the end of the fingers because those are going to be control points, but we don't need them inside here. That these bones will just link to each other without the aid of those points. Okay, so again, you can go ahead and adjust. Try to get them as close as you can. I'm going to move this bone over here so it's close. And what I can do is scale that bone so that it touches the other one. And you'll notice that these all come to roughly the same point. This one may need a little bit of help in there. All right. And ultimately, you may have to adjust the bones. But before we apply the skin modifier, we want to make sure the bone systems are all aligned as best we can. And by using the scale tool, making them slightly larger and overlapping. But what you notice here now is this finger, these three bones are linked by the system. I can go ahead and rotate that and all the fingers move. I want that to be linked to this bone. Now if I rotate this bone, it's obviously not linked. So I have to link backwards. So I'm going to start from the fingers and work my way back to the palm. I'm going to select this parent for this system, grab my link tool, drag from that to the next bone in the line, and now when I go to rotate this bone, notice that all the other bones go with it. So now at this point you want to link all of your bones back. So this finger, same thing. We're going to go ahead and link back to this bone. Once it blinks, you know it's linked. Select this bone, link it back to here, and this bone back to here. Now these four bones all need to be linked to this part of the hand, this bone. When I go to rotate, notice only 3 of the 4 bones actually are linked. This bone here didn't take to the link, so now we take this link, go from that bone back to this part of the hand, and then we can also test it. So the procedure is link test. Make sure everything's moving together one part at a time. Now I've got the same issue here. This bone here and the thumb needs to be linked to the smaller bone. So I'm going to click and drag from there to the smaller bone, as well as link that to this main bone. This bone down here is going to be our main bone. It's our parent. We'll use this to move the entire hand. Now when we back up and we go and rotate that bone, we want to make sure that all of the other bones move with it, which they do. Now we're not attached to the hand yet. We're going to get to that in our next lesson. But before you do that, ensure that each bone is linked properly. And make sure that you go into your other views and you watch in both views to make sure that everything's linked. And then I edit undo. That way it lines back up where you were.